DreAllDay.com.
Tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And what we do here is we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one university, where we reinforce and enhance all of this stuff. And this daily masterclass that you got right here that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to hire and outsource help for any entrepreneurs out there who are outside of the, let me back up. For any entrepreneurs who are in the USA, you want to hire and outsource help from outside of the USA. So if you want to hire somebody from India, somebody from Mexico, somebody from the Philippines, someone who English may not be there, for whom English may not be their first language, but you heard good things about outsourcing and how you can get people to do certain rote tasks for you, maybe more efficiently than you can do it, or just as well as you can do it, and maybe you can save a few dollars in doing so. Today we're going to talk about how do you actually do that, or I'm going to give you the framework for some overall general principles that you need to understand for doing this well, doing it consistently, and doing it at a high level, and finding some people who can actually work for you at a high level. Now, I talked about this topic of delegation in episodes number 1099 and episode 1100. Those topics are, first of all, stop doing all the work yourself, and Delegation 101 for entrepreneurs. Also, in episode number 664, I taught delegation for entrepreneurs. So any of you out there who is, maybe you have a podcast or a YouTube channel, or you're a blogger, or you're a speaker, or you're a coach, consultant, you're creating content you're doing something on the internet and you need some help. You know that you can't keep doing it all by yourself because you've gotten pretty much as far as you can go doing everything by yourself. Trust me, I know what that feels like. I've been to the point of doing everything I could, doing all of it by myself, despite the fact that I work hard and I'll hustle and I grind and I feel like I'm pretty smart and feel like I got some talent on my side. There's only so much that I can get done by myself. As a human being, we only got one brain, two eyes, and two hands. There, at some point, if you're going to expand your operation and what you're doing, you're going to need some help. So I personally, just to give you my background in this subject, I have been hiring and delegating outside of the USA, outsourcing my work since, I think the first time I ever hired someone from outside of USA had to be maybe 2011. And I got the idea for doing it, and the template, at least the initial template that I got when I first started, I got this from Tim Ferriss, because he's the one who wrote the 4-Hour Work Week. And I think his ideas, whether people give him direct credit or someone who learned from him and then they talked about it, then they updated it, then they taught it, he was the one who first, I think, I give him credit for popularizing the very concept of outsourcing work from the United States to people in other countries back when he put his book out, The 4-Hour Work Week. And I think that book came out in maybe 2007 or 2008, something like that. But he actually had in his book, and the book is still out so you can go buy it, he had a template that explained, hey, here's why you can hire outside the USA. Here's how to actually do it. Here's how to, make sure you ask the right questions in the interview process. Here's how to write a job listing so you make sure that you're attracting the right types of candidates. Here's how you offer them a test project to make sure that they can actually do the job. Here's how you communicate back and forth to make sure the job is getting done the right way. And then later on, when I started, because nowadays I do almost not all of my hiring, but a good amount of my hiring nowadays, I hire people in the Philippines. My executive assistant, Rem, is Filipino. My audio team, Nico, who's working on his audio right now, they are also Filipino. I hire a lot from the Philippines. There's a website that offers exclusively people who are from the Philippines. And the guy who started that website is an American, white guy from the United States. And he lives the 4-Hour Work Week lifestyle. And Tim Ferriss has spawned a whole lot of people to live that lifestyle. And this guy on his site, he wrote a whole bunch of blog posts on his own site, a bunch of articles just explaining, hey, here's some do's and don'ts, here's some best practices, here's some mistakes that people make, here are some ways to do it right, here's some ways that people mess up. So I have a lot of experience in doing this Again, hiring outside of USA. And there's some general principles. Now I'm going to go into details, and I'm going to do a full workshop and probably make it into a course inside of Work on Your Game University of how you actually go and hire someone from outside of USA. If you are an American and you want someone to do some type of work for you that can be done digitally. Now, maybe it could be even something on the phone too, because I have friends who they have people who work for them outside of USA. They outsource work, and those people actually get on the phones and do things for them via the telephone. Now, my work, the stuff that I do, none of it requires anyone who works for me to do any speaking. Well, they speak to me, but they don't need to speak to, they're not representing me with anyone else as far as speaking. But as far as writing, emails, things like that, yes. So all that being said, today, I'm going to give you the framework for some general ideas, things that you're going to need to understand no matter who you are, no matter who you're looking to hire, what level, and all of that. And then inside of Work on Your Game University, I'm going to do a full workshop / course. Maybe I'll do a workshop, maybe I'll do a course, maybe I'll do both. It'll definitely be a course in there at some point pretty soon where I'm going to be explaining the entire process of how you hire someone from the USA who is not in the USA from top to bottom. All right, how to make it work and do it the right way. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into our points. Again, the topic, once again, is how to hire outsourced help for entrepreneurs who are in the USA. How to hire someone outside of the USA. Point number one, you. Now, when I say you, I'm talking about you, the entrepreneur, the boss who's going to be hiring someone, whether you're hiring a freelancer to do a job that's going to take 3 days, or you're looking for someone to be a full-time permanent employee. You must be a strong communicator. I'm pausing there, so let that point sink in. You must be a very strong communicator. If your communication skills suck, you will suck at hiring, and you'll suck at keeping that person doing what they need to do, and they'll probably ghost you, or you'll end up firing them. But you must have strong communication skills. I'm talking episode number 440. The topic is clear and direct, communication principles for adults. You must be clear and direct in how you communicate with anyone, no matter who you're hiring. This is a principle that can apply to anyone you hire, whether they're an American who is from across the street from you or someone who's halfway across the world. You must be very strong in the way that you communicate with other people. Episode number 1264, 3 communication skills you must master ASAP. Episode 1257, invest in your communication skills. Episode number 766, the 7 biggest business communication mistakes that people make. In episode number 568, the communication skills you must learn for life. So we talked about communication many times here on the show, as you heard me just mention. Understand that when you're hiring someone who's not in the United States, say you hire someone in India or you hire someone in the Philippines, not only do you need to be strong in giving detail of what you want, but also explaining why you want things done a certain way and how you want things done, if you want to be that detailed. Telling people why you want something done a certain way is a really important point, because when you tell another person, it doesn't matter where they're from, why you want something done a certain way, they may be smarter than you, they may know that area better than you, and they may suggest, hey, since this is the outcome that you want, how about we do it this way instead? It get done a lot faster, it'll get a lot better result for you, it'll save me time, therefore I can get more work done for you since I can get this done more efficiently. If you don't put in why you want something done, then no one will be able to offer you, hey, here's how we can do it better. If you only tell somebody what you want them to do, or you tell them exactly how they need to do it, then hopefully you're really good at explaining exactly what you want done, and you have come up with the best possible way of getting it done, which you probably have not. And over time, as things change and time evolves and people learn new things, somebody may come up with a better way of doing things, or there just may be a better way of doing things that has gotten introduced into the world. But if you don't go back and revisit the explanation that you gave, then you may have people working for you doing things very inefficiently for a really long time, because you didn't bother. First of all, you're not the one who's checking on all the time what's the most efficient way of doing this, which you're probably not even thinking about because you've already outsourced it to someone else, delegated it to another person. But the bigger problem is the fact that you didn't explain at the beginning why you want things done a certain way, because there's a certain outcome that you're after. When you tell people what the outcome is, what the mission is, the result is that you want produced, and you explain why, they may be able to come up with some way that's better than yours. So that's why you had to be very clear in your communication of what you want. This is the outcome that I want. Here's why I want this outcome, and here's how I want you to do it. And when you tell people the how, Here's another thing that you need to give them, and this is a key piece right here. Let them know that this is the way that you know to do it, and this is the way that you're suggesting that it get done because you know that it works this way. But if you know of a way that can make this faster, if you know a way for this to be more efficient, if you know of a way that we can increase our productivity that is different from the way that I'm teaching you or the way that I'm delegating to you to do it, then let me know. Because listen, our goal here is to just get the thing done. We want to get it done as quickly as possible, as cost efficiently as possible. So if you know a way to do it better, let me know. This is a piece that many entrepreneurs and just people in general just lack this. A lot of human beings, I don't care where they're from and I don't care who you're talking to, a lot of human beings are really poor at this, especially when people get into positions of power and positions of leadership, is that they don't understand it. Just because you're in a position of power and leadership or a position of authority where you can tell other people what to do does not mean that your way and your ideas are the best way and the best ideas. They're probably not. Especially if you're a person who's good at picking people, you probably have people around you who are pretty smart, right? So you're probably not the only intelligent person in the room. So how about you give some credit to the people around you and ask them, hey, what are some ways we can do this better? And actually, instead of asking them that, offer them an open-ended statement that says, this is the way that we're doing it now, but if you know of a way to do it better, let me know. This is a question. This is a statement. It's not even a question. It's a statement that anyone listening to me right now, even if you're not looking to hire anyone, even if you're trying to get hired, this is a statement that you should add to your arsenal immediately. Anytime you're telling somebody else what to do or how to do something, is if there's a way we can do it better, tell me. When you delegate work to another person, ladies and gentlemen, and that work is done improperly, the first thing you need to look at is not the person who did the work improperly, because this is my assumption that I'm making. I'm assuming that you're pretty smart. So I'm assuming that you're pretty good at choosing people. So when you choose someone to do something for you and you delegate the work to them, I'm going to assume you chose somebody who's smart also. So if the thing gets done improperly or some mistake is made, the first thing you need to look at is not the person and say, why did you mess up? No, because you're smart and you picked the smart person, right? So what you need to look at first is, where did you fail in communication? Because it may be something that you didn't say or something that you did not get across that is caused that person to make what looks like a mistake, but they may have actually not even made a mistake. Maybe they did exactly what you told them to do, and what you told them to do was incorrect, not them as a person or them in their process. So that's why, again, this first point, you must be a strong communicator if you are going to delegate work. And the reason why this is the first point on this topic, when I'm telling you you're outsourcing work outside of USA, is you're probably talking to someone whose first language is not English. So you need to be even better in communication, because when you're talking to someone whose first language is not English, they won't be able to fill in your communication gaps. See, when I'm talking to an American, or look, all of you listening to me right now, those of you listening whose first language is English, when you listen to me, there may be some things that I kind of leave out. I might say the wrong word. I might mean to say one thing, but I say something else. But you can tell through the context of what I'm saying, what I meant to say, and fill in that gap, and it makes sense to you because English is your first language. But if I'm talking to someone for whom English is their second or third language, and I have that flub in communication, they may not know. They may not understand what I meant to say. They'll just go with what I did say, and then something ends up going wrong. And if I don't know if I don't understand this first point, I'm going to be mad at them. I'm going to be looking at them like, why the hell did you mess that up? When in actuality, they didn't mess it up. I messed up in communication. And that's why your communication skills must be super strong. And I talk about this in my people skills course, which is about communication and rapport building and making sure you're getting your points across clearly. In the people skills course, of course, you can take it inside of Work on Your Game University at the season level and above. So not only in detail what, but also why and how. Keep these all in mind when you are communicating, especially when you're outsourcing. Point number 2. Topic here today is how to outsource to find people to work for you who are from outside of the United States. Point number 2, details, details, details. Let's get a definition of a detail, so we're all on the same page here. Definition of detail is an individual feature, fact, or item. Or if we use detail as a verb, to describe item by item, to give the full particulars of. You, as the boss, as the delegator, you must be detailed in what you are looking for, This is even before you have somebody. And what you're looking for, be detailed in who you want, be detailed in what you need them to do, and be detailed in how you evaluate their work. All of these are imperative. You must also be detailed in your vetting process, meaning do not rush to hire someone. Even if you're hiring an American, don't rush to hire someone, because when you rush through things, you make mistakes. Now, when you're quick, you may do things clean, but when you rush, you make mistakes. As I told you, in the university, I'm gonna put a whole course in there where I go into a lot of details, not just what I just said, but a ton of details, and I'll explain out each of those details, the why of it, the how of it, and the what of those details. But this is an overview of how it is done. You must be super detailed in, first of all, even when you put a job out there, what exactly is the job? Who are you? What is the company? Why would somebody want to work there? And what's the job you're looking for? What are what's the role called? What are responsibilities? What are the outcomes that you're expecting from those people? What are requirements? What kind of skills do they need? They need to know how to use Google Docs. They need to be able to communicate via email. Should they be able to be available at what time of day? Because you're in the United States and they're in a different time zone. What time do they need to be available? All these details you need to be thinking about and considering before you even have somebody working for you. And these are all details that whenever I talk to people who have tried and failed to outsource work outside of the United States, they have probably failed at these details, or they were completely unaware of these details. It was the same as failing at them. Because if you're not doing nothing or not doing anything with these details, is pretty much a failure. It's not going to work. So make sure you are paying attention to all the detail. You might not even know what all the details are. And I'm not going to take this whole masterclass to tell you about all the details. But again, in the university, we're going to have a whole course on this so that you know exactly who, what, when, where, why, how, and all that, what, hows, and whys underneath each one of those. Again, in Work on Your Game University. But you must be paying keen attention to detail. And this is for, honestly, even outside of outsourcing, outside of this specific topic, everything that we're talking about here today can apply to anyone who's in a position of being an authority, a leader, a boss, a hiring manager. You're in a position of being other people's work comes to you, and you're kind of the supervisor or the person in charge, or there are people who are reporting to you, is the phrase that I'm looking for. You got to be paying attention to detail, because you need to notice if and when they're not paying attention to detail. Especially when you have someone new and they're just learning the job, you need to make sure that they understand what you're looking for, and they need to know that you know if and when they're messing up. Because if they know that you don't know when they're messing up and you're not paying attention to detail, guess what? They're going to stop paying attention to detail. And now everything's going to be all fucked up. Then nothing's going to be working. So any person, if you're a head coach and you have assistant coaches working for you, you got to check on their details until you can trust that that person does the job the way it's supposed to be done. If you're a boss, a manager at a company, and you have 10 people who report to you, you need to be paying attention to detail, so each one of those 10 people knows that if they miss a detail, you're going to catch it. So if you're not paying attention to detail, your subordinates, they're going to make mistakes, either because they just made a mistake and they didn't know, or because they know you're not checking on their mistakes, or you don't notice the details, so they're just going to slide by. Hopefully you don't hire people who have this mentality of this character, but some people will just slide by because they know they can get away with it because you ain't paying attention to details. So this is your responsibility, not theirs. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to hire outsourced workers outside of the USA if you happen to be an American entrepreneur. Number 3, or you don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You got outsourced work. You could have a job, outsource somebody to do your job for you, save yourself some time. This is what Tim Ferriss talked about, again, in the 4-Hour Work Week. If you haven't read that book, I suggest you do if this topic intrigues you. Point number 3. Topic, once again, is how to outsource work from the USA to other places. Number 3, constant contact. This is an important topic. Constant contact for as long as it takes. When you hire a new person, you bring someone on, you're delegating work to them, do not just leave them there and hope that they can figure it out. Don't think that they can read your mind. Don't think that just because they read the job description and you hired them that they're going to know exactly what to do. They probably will not. And if they do know what to do, they're not going to be doing it exactly as you want it done. And then you're trying to communicate, you're trying to send emails and messages, and then it's all messy back and forth, waiting for them to respond, and they're waiting for you to respond, and nothing's getting done. All the time's going by, and you're getting frustrated, and they're getting worried because they're not hearing from you, and then is not a whole lot of clear communication. Constant contact. All right, as I told you, clear and direct. And when I say direct, you want to get as direct as possible when you're communicating with another person. This is the way that I am. This is the way I am as a person. Even though now in 2020 and 2021 and beyond, a lot of people don't like to get on the phone. A lot of people don't like to make phone calls or take phone calls because they rather send text messages back and forth or leave comments on each other's Facebook pages. And, birthdays come around and people are just texting each other. They don't even call to say happy birthday to a person. This is how it is these days with a lot of our world. But I'm the type of person that if I really need to communicate something to somebody, I want to get as direct as possible. Ideally, I get to talk to them face to face in person where we can actually shake hands. The next best level is to be on the phone or be on a video call, FaceTime or Zoom or what have you. What's the Google one? Google Meet, whatever it happens to be. And then the next best thing is we can communicate textually, whether that's through emails or text messages, DMs, etc., etc. When you hire somebody, when you have somebody working for you and they're working in your business and money is being exchanged, my suggestion to you is that you get on a direct call with that person. Unless you're going to go fly out to India or to New Zealand or the Philippines to actually meet them in person, the next best thing is you get on video calls, FaceTime. I don't know if everybody has access to Zoom or Skype, video calls, things like that, and actually be able to look that person in the face and talk to them directly in real time. All right, you say something, they say something. You say something, they say something. That's the way that when I hired my executive assistant, we got on the call every day. We still, to this day, get on a call every day and talk. Now, it's not always a long call, but we get on a call every day. And we talk about what's going on, what happened the previous day, what we're working on this day, to make sure that we are on the same page. That constant contact is important because it does several things. First of all, it helps build a relationship between you and the person who's working for you. Second of all, it clears up any unsolved mysteries are clarified. They are solved when you're talking directly to a person. Now, if you're only exchanging emails and DMs with a person, things can get lost in translation. If you're only talking to somebody once a week, then you might even forget the things that you want to say. When you're talking to somebody every day, all unsolved mysteries are resolved. Everything is clear. Everybody's on the same page. Anything that's messed up gets fixed. Any problems get addressed. That's when you have constant contact with a person. All of you notice, even in your normal lives, the people that you talk to consistently, there's usually you get things eventually get put out there and the air gets cleared, whatever the situation happens to be. When you hire a new person, do not leave them there to figure it out, hoping that they understand. It is your job, even if you hire someone who is super qualified, you still must invest time into communicating, teaching, getting to know that person, and letting them get to know you. This matters as well. Especially when you're outsourcing overseas. If you're outsourcing to someone whose English is not their first language, you are their boss, you're the one who hired them, and they're working for you. Understand, even though they're from wherever they're from, outside of USA, a place that you've never been, you couldn't even find them on a map, understand they're still human beings. The people you hire are still humans. Okay, just because they're not from New York or Seattle doesn't mean that you acquired a robot that's just going to do whatever you say. They're going to download your brain and do everything perfectly from the beginning. Your work is not done when you hire someone. Your work has just begun. Okay, so you're going to need to know some other things. I know that there are a lot of questions that some of you may have about how to execute on this and do it right when it comes to where do you look, how to make a job description, how do you vet candidates, how do you onboard somebody, what type of jobs you should hire for, and what type of jobs you should not hire for, how to communicate certain things, and where you may be failing in doing so. All that's coming. So if you're not a member of Work on Your Game University, I would suggest you fix that problem and go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Join us. You can join the community. You get access to the entire Work on Your Game system from top to bottom, how this system works. Where do you begin? What's the next level? What's the next level? What are the next steps? What questions need to be answered for you to move from one level to the next? It's 9 levels of the Work on Your Game system. We got it all mapped out. And through that, one of the branches in the Work on Your Game system is this here. Because not everybody is hiring. Not everybody needs to hire. Not everybody's an entrepreneur. But understand, we got branches for everybody. So whatever your challenge is, if it has anything to do with the type of person you need to be, your mindset, or the strategy, or the execution of that strategy, any one of those 3 or any branch within, any subtopic within those 3, Work on Your Game University is the place that you need to be. If you like this show, that is your natural next step. Let me recap these points. How to outsource for entrepreneurs to outside of the United States. I'll clean up that title. I said it like 5 times, changed it every time. Point number 1, you must be a strong communicator, not only in detail of what you want, but why. Point number 1, you must be a strong communicator, not only in detail of what you want, but why you want it that way and how you want things done. This is the piece that many entrepreneurs and people in general lack. So when you delegate and it's done improperly, don't look at the person, look at the process. Number 2, details, details, details. You got to be detailed on what you're looking for, who you want, what you need them to do, and how you evaluate their work. And again, I can add to this, but there's a whole lot of things when it comes to detail that you need to be paying close attention to, you as the owner/boss. Number 3, constant contact for as long as it takes. When you hire a new person, understand that you did not acquire a robot, you have hired a human being. So just because that person's not from America doesn't mean they're going to do everything exactly as you want it and download your brain. There's no human being on the planet who can do that no matter where they're from. So you have to put in the work. When you hire somebody, that is not the end of your job. That is the beginning of your job. Yes, your job, not their job, your job. Because you got to do the work and making sure that person is set up to succeed. And if they fail, it's not because they fail, because you hired them. And again, assuming that they're pretty smart and you are as well, because you fail to follow through on the process properly. Again, in the university, we're going to show you how that's done. Work on your game. Dre all day.